Hello everyone and welcome to Armored Warfare on PS4. Today I want to talk about MBTs, main battle tanks. I will talk about what Armored Warfare has written about them and how to use them in game, and I will talk about my personal opinion and experience with certain MBTs I've used. MBTs are one of the most popular class used in Armored Warfare and also have the most generally accessible class. Blah. The reason for that, MBTs have something that other classes don't have: armor, and lots of it. From composite to ERA, most MBTs have the possibility for it. Now there are many different kinds of MBTs, even outside the game in real life. In the game you have the American MBTs like the Pattons and the Abrams series, with on top the XM1A3 Abrams. American MBTs are sort of jack of all trades. They have a fair amount of everything but excel in nothing. Their firepower is inferior to the Leopards and they can be outmaneuvered by the Russians. But they have a good foundation and thus are very versatile in fighting and on the move and on the playing field. These tanks are ideal for when you start playing, have not decided what type of gameplay you want to do, and of course if you just like them and you just want to unlock them for fun. And then after that you have the Soviet/Russian T-line series, from the T-55 and the T-62 all the way up to the T-90 and the T-14 Armata. These are the brawler type of MBTs, very mobile and fairly good armored on the front, with a decent firepower and a bad gun depression. They can spin their hull fairly fast and are good for offense playstyle with a lot of close encounters. And then we have arrived at the German MBTs with the Leopard 1 series, including the OF-40, and the Leopard 2 series with the Leopard 2 AX as a top tier. German MBTs and snipers are snipers of the MBTs, with a strong gun and that is very accurate, which makes them ideal for distant playstyle. They don't have the fastest turret and the fastest hull traverse, which makes them not so great at close combat, and it is advised to keep the enemies as far as possible. Now come the British MBTs with their Chieftain and the Challenger series, with the Challenger 2 ATDU as top tier. The British have two things on their side: hash ammo and armor, lots and lots of armor. They appear rather slow and sluggish and are good at taking a punishment. With the early types they still have a rather exposed hull, but they fixed that entirely with the Challenger series. With the 120mm rifled guns the British have special access to the high explosive squash head rounds, which are especially made to tear through the sloped armor of most Russian MBTs. The MBTs have a thick height and can compete with most Russian MBTs at close range, but their lack of mobility, they work better in team/platoons formations with the required backup. And then as last you have the Chinese MBTs with the Type 59 variants and the more modern Type 99 variants with the Type 99A2 as a top tier. As China was a bit late on the whole MBT lines, the lower tiers are mostly old models with upgraded technology. They handle a bit of the same as Russian MBTs, with more focus on firepower and less on maneuverability. And the higher tiers from tier 5 change from gameplay and become more agile, still not as fast as their other counterparts on that tier. Gameplay wise, the Chinese are somewhat between Russians and Germans and are excellent support tanks which can easily match with other countries' MBTs. Now in general, MBTs are made to soak up damage and defend key points on the battlefield, but beware, they are not invulnerable, and when outflanked they get easily in trouble. Now on a personal note from me, I play a lot of MBTs, but my favorites the German Leopard line, which I think are awesome, and I have met quite a few in real life. So yeah, kind of a fanboy here. Also, that's why I pronounce them as leopards and not as leopards, because that's the way we pronounce them in my country. I like them because they are a fairly high top speed, and I can manage to outflank the enemy. And if I can manage to outflank the enemy, I can dish out quite the amount of damage. Now, of course, this tactic does not always work, but I'm fairly comfortable with the amount of time it does work. Now on PvE matches, it's very important for MBTs to keep yourselves on the front of the mission, so you can be the main focus of the IA controlled enemies, so that way you can cap or defend the mission objectives. Well, per se, TDs have your back. TDs are tank destroyers. Also, you can soak up a lot of damage, so that the more squishy enemies, or the more squishy allies, don't get defeated that easily. As long as you don't go camping and being afraid of moving forward, you can, together with your team, complete at least most missions, even the harder ones, as long as you keep working together and don't go all lone wolf on your team, because that never works out. In PvP, I only play globs, global operations. I have not tried 5 versus 5 PvP modes. In globs, I like to see more offense MBTs that rush together towards the objectives, and then also try to defend them afterwards. Please don't go camping and try to snipe the whole game, as you are not helping anyone with that playstyle. And so what if you die a few times? As long as you stood your ground and maybe killed a few enemies, at least delayed capping the objectives in global operations, then you're already contributing in your team in a very positive way. Now I've just realized I have a little bit of time left, so I can just keep on bashing other MBTs, maybe tanks, I don't know. But for me, it's very important to keep moving as an MBT and not stand still, not keeping capping or camping behind the same walls, behind the same cover, because that way you easily just can say goodbye to whatever you're trying to do. And also you can easily get outflanked, just like happens here. I have to work against a Leopard 2 in my Leopard 1. That is never gonna happen. So yeah. What I do like the most is when you are in a game and you are with some same-minded like people that also play and pay attention to the map, then you can achieve quite a lot of good games and also achieve quite a lot of good caps and be pretty much superior on the whole battlefield. And as soon as that kind of playstyle really pays off, when you stick together, hold your guns and hold your ground and just bash up the enemy as much as possible, then you can really have a really good game. Now, most of this information I have from the official Armored Warfare site and the Armored Warfare forum. There is a developer which is nice enough to talk about different classes, different things in the game, and explaining them why they are like that and what you can learn from them. You can learn quite a lot on the forums from him just by reading. or you can just wait until I maybe make a video on that subject. It will take quite some time. I am not a very active YouTuber. I'm not a very active in making moves. I do not have the amount of time to do like one every day or every few days. So now I can keep rambling on about MBTs and how awesome they are, etc. But these are what I think are the basics of MBTs, and I hope you enjoyed and learned a thing or two. Leave a comment what you think, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.